Everybody, it is ET. It's almost 10 o'clock on this beautiful Saturday morning, and yeah, it's our 30th episode. So, last time we worked on animation a bit, not necessarily the actual animation, but some code to make the animation match the movement of the player. And just to reiterate, right now the rigid body is the master. Like basically, the rigid master dictates what the animation does. So before I was trying to make the animation kind of the master, and then the rigid body follow the animation. Now I just flipped it, and that's how I think I'm going to keep it. So great. What I'm going to do now is we're going to open up Unity, and we're going to start adding some player input. And what do I mean by that? I mean we're going to be adding some more actions that the player can do. And I was working on OneNote a little bit last night before going to bed. And please make this the default version. Thank you. So I was saying some things that the player can do. Alright, so this is what I was kind of playing around with. Um, Thought of maybe four actions here. Have finger in sand, where finger can kind of write in the sand. So you know how people write their names in the sand and then they get washed away by the waves. Kind of want to do that. And then if we look at the details here, you write in the sand. It doesn't collect sand, so you don't actually gain sand by doing this. And the way it kind of works is I'll have like blue is going down and green is adding. So if you're writing in the sand, you get this little tiny line of digging, but all around it there's a whole bunch of like added little clumps everywhere. And I'm gonna try to make that somehow random. Yep. So that's one thing I want to do. The other thing I want to try to do is just the normal scoop tool. So kind of like what we have already. That's kind of the way I want it to work. Um, but okay, so these two, if you're holding down the mouse button, I don't want it to keep digging continuously. Basically, it's going to be a constant dig, and then as soon as you move the mouse, the dig starts digging, around. Okay, so the scoop's going to be very similar to what we have, except I'm going to add little clumps around the sides again. And then at the end of the dig, I'm going to add a little mound at the end. And I don't know if I'm going to make it like half the sand dug, or I haven't made up my mind. Because as you're scooping, yeah, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. But anyway, I want to add a little mound at the end, and then basically you only can collect up to a handful of sand. So you can't like just keep scooping and get sand, get sand, get sand. You're gonna have to just kind of like scoop, 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 or just kind of grab sand from the ground using the scoop tool. The pat and smooth tool, basically it's going to be kind of like a circle radius, and you kind of move it around, and the more you move it around, the more every height map kind of starts averaging out to something normal or smooth. And then the grab, if I'm going to have items like a bucket or a sandcastle mold or a shovel or even maybe a kite, uh, yeah, all of these things, a frisbee maybe, so just grab an item. So those are the four tools I'm thinking of doing. So I'm going to start with just writing in the sand, not collecting sand. So I'm trying to figure out where all this should live. I guess it should live as a control on the first person camera. Maybe. Or maybe this lives on the terrain. Because, okay, if I make it on the first person camera, what will happen? And I'm kind of future thinking too. Like, I'm not just thinking now, like, what happens if I have multiple players, uh, and they're like digging? Like, I kind of want to say, kind of want to say this. Okay, camera's going to control the actual input. So I have like my keyboard, my mouse, all that stuff goes into the camera. Bam, right into in your camera right here. So it goes into you. Uh, so that's one, right? That the camera gathers the input. Um, the player himself does an action. So he can move, he can jump, he can walk, crouch. So the player responds to the input of the camera. What I think I'm missing is now the player is going to do something, the player is going to output something, and then the terrain is going to input something. So I think the player is going to say, "Hey, I am digging here in my vicinity, like right here, I'm digging." So if you have multiple players, like not necessarily active players, like me, I'll be the only active player. But if I have other friends or non-player characters around, they're gonna be non-active. I mean, they're not active, so they don't have a camera attached to them. But I think they should still be able to dig in the sand. So in that case, all the other objects should be able to say, "Hey, dig here or right here." So I think in that case, the player just says, "Hey, I'm writing here," and then the terrain has to react. And the terrain's going to react by having a listener or subscribing to an event saying, "Yeah, if you dig here and your position's there, uh, you're yeah," and that's how I'm thinking of handling it, something like that. Yeah, I think that is what I want to do. Mm. Good breakfast, good breakfast. Smoothie. Liquid breakfast is a good breakfast. Okay, so I think I got it. Input, player, terrain input. So right now, terrain doesn't have anything. Uh, right now, I have it way deep down in here. Terrain dig is here. I don't think this is the case. So I'm going to just remove the script. I know we have a lot of good important things in here, and I'll definitely be referencing it, but I don't think the camera should dig in the terrain. My personal opinion, I think the terrain is going to have to subscribe to the player, or whoever. Subscribe to all. Eesh, yeah, it's going to have to subscribe to all player input, or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So if I just run this, I think I should still be able to do everything minus the digging in the sand, right? So there we go. Our nice animation. His feet aren't sliding. He's looking good. He can even walk and his feet don't slide. He can jump. He can even crawl or crouch and he's okay. So yeah, I'm so happy we fixed that animation stuff. Cool. Alright, sorry. I'm just playing around with the movement, making sure it all works. Always got to test everything as you go. And it looks good. What happens if I'm on top of a box and I crouch? Can I crouch? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, the other thing I want to fix later is the rate, how I move. Like, the thing is, if I click on my head, I'm going to stay where I'm at because the closest point to my head is here on the ground. But, and if I click on this box, I'm going to move right where the box was, kind of. Like, if I click here, I'm going to move there. So, I don't know. I don't want to be able to click on objects. If I click here, I kind of want to move to that terrain behind the box, you know? Or more importantly, if I click here, I want to move to the terrain behind this lump, not necessarily this lump. And even more, more to demonstrate, like if I click here, I'll just move to this thing, as opposed to moving to the terrain behind this thing, is what I really want to do. And same thing with the sphere. Yeah, alright. So you get the point, right? Alright. Man, I see I have dug a lot in the sand already. And this is me just digging a little more. Oh, yeah, but I can't. Good. And that's what I need to test, is whether I can dig in here. Yeah, and I think I have... This might be an instance where I have the animation controlling the rigid body, maybe. I don't know, just because some of this is kind of choppy. Maybe not. Alright, anyway, whatever. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Everything works for now. Okay. Let's see what I'm doing here. Always got to work on these errors. Can't have too many errors happening. Alright, terrain dig. Terrain dig. Sorry, I'm not super paying attention. Alright, so sand collection really relies on this terrain dig script. So I'm going to have to make sure that sand collection subscribes to this still, but it's going to be somewhere else. It won't be here. So anyway, we will definitely work on that too. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to have to disable one other script. But this time I'll just disable it because I know I still want it, the sand collection script. So you can't collect sand at this point, which is fine because finger writing doesn't require any of that. Okay, so let me run it one more time to see if I can get any more errors while I do stuff. Animator. So it's saying, hey, when I enable this, animator isn't set to anything. So let's go ahead and just check if animator is not null, because I know like right away it's not going to be set, but it'll be set after the start. Okay, so if animator does not equal null, do all that. Cool. So I should have no errors. Okay, I still have an error. Alright, first person controller and second person controller. Oh, all that gets set in the start function. So, yeah, I'm going to have to check it every time. That's okay though. I'm going to make these one-liners. So this is going to be first-person controller. And this is going to be third-person controller. Yep. All right. So, and I haven't really paid attention to what this is. So this is when you enable first-person controller. All this stuff doesn't even turn on right away. Yeah, you see, and so like right here in the start method, I'm kind of doing everything I need to do right now. So basically here, I'm just setting third person controller equals true. Yep. Not that I have to do that because it was already enabled, but I'm just double making sure. And then on enable, I'm going to make sure these scripts have me subscribed. Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm going to restart the game. Here we go. No errors. Awesome. That's all I want. They weren't huge errors because they're kind of like event stuff, and the event stuff hasn't even happened yet. So that's okay. Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah, and the animation still looks good. I just want to make sure the animation, that his walking animation matches. Awesome. And if I had an Xbox controller, which I mean I do, oh, and I have a receiver for it. I could test out the axis, but I haven't plugged it into my computer yet. But maybe in a future episode I can definitely do that. Cool. All right. Yeah, I like that too. How he slows down. Awesome. All right. Cool. What is next? Oh gosh, Homer Simpson says push notification. My phone's behind me. All right. Okay, everything's looking good. Now we actually need to do a new kind of action. So, okay. Gosh, maybe I just add this to the first person controls or input first person. Yeah, maybe it's here. Okay, so this is the guy that will handle all input, and he doesn't really care about anything else except yeah, this guy doesn't care anything else about except launching his events, and his events right now is on Zoom. So let's go ahead and say, for now, public static event. So we have a Zoom handler. Let's make the handler first. Public delegate void. So we have a Zoom handler, and let's go ahead and get a, I guess, action handler, main handler. So I have these different tools. I have the write, the scoop, the flatten, and then the grab. These are all actions, right? So we'll just say sand action handler. And so what we're going to get from this is going to be the mouse position. Yep, that sounds good. Well, actually, this is the camera, right? So instead of the mouse position, why don't we just do the raycast and give it the actual like terrain position? Yeah, I think that would be better. Okay, so the terrain position. Vector 3. So you're gonna just get the position. Alright, cool. Position on the terrain. And right now the only action is right, because that's the first one. But then we'll make it later. We can add like sand action type, and it'd be like yeah, and it'd be like I'm sorry, it'd be like right, scoop, smooth, all of that, or pat, I think is what I'm calling it. Smooth is probably a better one, just because it's kind of more, at least code-wise, descriptive. But in the game, we can just call it pat. No, I want to call them all the same thing, so we'll just call it pat in both code and this. Okay, so right now all we have is a sand action handler, and then what that means is we can have a sand action event. Sand action handler on sand action. Bam. And so, if input dot get button, and I think we called it main. Yeah, let's go to Unity. I always forget. Maybe it's better to leave it like fire 1, fire 2, but it's too late now. Already made the changes. Input. Let's call it, yep, main. Perfect. So if you got the button main on sand action, actually we gotta do some stuff. We gotta do a physics raycast and all that. So yeah, I know. So we're gonna get a raycast hit. Oh, we'll get a ray, and let's do raycast hit. We'll call it hit. Ray is gonna be a ray, which we can say this is the camera, so get, let's go ahead and grab the camera on start. Void start. If we have a camera, go ahead and make that get component. Camera. So get component is, so if I'm on the camera object, this should also get the camera. Alright. And then we'll just generate a field. Pause. Awesome. What? That's not what I want at all. I mean, but I see what you're saying. Bam. Alright, so we got the camera. And so now we can say camera dot screen point to ray, and then this could be input dot mouse position. Input dot mouse position. So we are just taking away the the input stuff from the actual class, and we're having it here in the input class. And then you say on sand action, oh, if physics dot raycast, we're going to do the ray and the out hit. Awesome. We can say, hey, hit dot point. So now we are doing excuse me, we're doing the sand action on the hit dot point. Perfect. So now there's no like input that we need to do. Perfect, 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 perfect. Alright, so that's what input first person is doing. So we got the mouse button. Alright, so we have a sand action happening. Now we need to subscribe to it and do stuff to it. So sand action is going to go to, right now it's on the camera, it's going to go to player. And player will decide, oh yeah, I see, this stuff should be on player, this stuff shouldn't be here. All camera's doing is saying, hey, whatever action you have selected, do that on this point. And now player is going to have the responsibility of saying, hey, this is the action, go ahead and do this action. So okay, player, gosh, I wish it was like a collapse all button. Alright, so here we go, player, 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 player. Alright, add, let's go ahead and add a new script, but I'm going to add a new script here. I'm going to do this, player actions, player actions, for now. You can all this stuff's renamable. Here we go, player actions. I'll go ahead and just do this. Public, not even public. Yeah, go ahead and do public enum player action. And so far we're going to have, let's just go ahead and look at what we got. We got finger, scoop, pat, grab. Finger, scoop, pat, grab. And then right now we're going to have a private, we don't even have to do private, player action, current action, or selected action equals player action dot finger. Sweet. Awesome. So we have a selected action. What else do we need to do? This needs to subscribe to the events of above. Okay, so always like on enable. I like to do this on enable and on disable. On enable, on disable. Input first person dot sand action plus equals, and then we gotta have a function. Void perform action, and then this would be a vector 3 perform action here. Yeah. Okay, perform action here. So we have on sand action equals perform action, should be just fine, and then on disable we will not perform action. And so this is another thing we got to do here. We're gonna have a public delegate, a public static delegate, and I know It doesn't have to be static, but it's just easier, honestly, because I don't have to get the instance of the object. So public static delegate, it's going to be a void. Uh, so public static delegate void, and now what are we going to call this? So far we're just going to do finger sandfinger sandfinger handler. Okay. Probably also it'd be nice just to have the no. What am I doing wrong here? I already forgot how to set all this up. Public delegate. Oh, you don't do the static part. Okay. The next part does the static part though. But this part, public static sandfinger handler on sandfinger. Awesome. Okay. And honestly, I could just say I could make a name for just things that take vector 3's in and not have to do this public void all the time. But I like the strictness of it. So basically, like I could never use this delegate, or I mean, this event will never get confused with another event because it's using this particular uh, delegate. If that makes sense. I know I kind of butchered that. All right, so for form action, you're gonna do sandfinger handler. So you're really just gonna pass another action. But honestly, we could just make this a switch. Switch of player action or selected action, and then here would be like case player action dot finger. Do this default, or I didn't break or do anything. Break, then default. Do nothing, just break. Alright, and you don't actually have to put that last break statement in, but I do. Sandfinger handler, and just here. So all this does is say, hey, what action are you doing, and just pass it onwards. And you don't do the on sandfinger handler, you do the on sandfinger. Cool. So that looks good. So okay, now we got the camera doing something. It passes the player. Player decides what action he's going to do. Passes it on to the terrain. Finally, the terrain's going to have its own thing. Alright, terrain, here you go. Let's make you a new script. Terrain actions. Okay, I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to say yes to everything. Saving everything. Okay. I didn't actually use this start function, I guess. I'm sure I'll have to. But until then, that's okay. We'll leave it like that. Alright. So I'm definitely going to do some subscriptions like this. And the thing about the terrain is it's going to have to subscribe every time. Ew, I chunked or something. Wasn't bad. Just caught me off guard. I'm sorry. So the terrain action, it doesn't have to. Oh, it has to basically subscribe to every new character function. So, yeah, it's gonna have to know every instance of players, or yeah, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Okay, let me think of this. Alright, so the on sand finger is actually a static event, right? So if we have three players that have these actions, we have three players drawing at the same time. See, they're drawing. Uh, it only launches this one event, and that's probably a good thing. Okay, that's all. That's all I gotta say. It's a good thing. Um, I guess the problem, where the problem really lies, is when does a anyway, we'll get to it. It's basically when does the other players uh, draw? Like, how do they get their draw function? They can't get it from the input because the input's only on that one camera, and that one camera should only exist once on the player. So the other like two or three people drawing, how are they drawing at all? And maybe it'll be through a networked event or something. Maybe it'll be through a AI event. Who knows? But anyway, we are good for now. This works. This model works. Okay, so on enable, we're gonna say player. I can't think of it. Player actions, I think it was. Yeah, player actions. Finger, and basically we have to subscribe to every action. Alright, so we're gonna make this write in sand. And that's the name of the final function. So the finger literally writes in the sand. Okay, cool. And what do you want? The actual function? Sure, write in sand. So how are we gonna handle all this? Is what this is trying to handle. So okay, we know that this control terrain dig is what we initially used. Okay, and so yeah, we got a lot of things to do. I think this modify sand is the big thing. So I'm gonna just take modify sand, and we'll put it right in terrain actions. That'll be the next function down here. Yep. We don't have to do all of this. We're actually going to get a position on the we actually get a hit point, right? So this is actually be a vector 3 3 point modify sand here. I don't know. I can't think of a word right now today. So here. And then we're just going to modify sand here. I'll figure something out. Okay, we don't have to do modify. We're only going down for now. We don't have to have a camera. We don't have to raycast. We don't have to do all that. So this whole thing is okay. And I'm gonna just control D this. Okay, so let me see what's happening here. It's launching other events. These events we're not subscribed to or have yet, but I think Sand Collector is gonna be subscribing to this event. So if we go back to Control Terrain Dig, these events, yeah, all of this. I'm gonna take all of it for now, and I'll delete what I don't need. All right, so here are all the variables that we're stealing. Dig in sand handler, yep. We're not going to add sand, so we don't actually do any of that. Dig in sand handler. I don't even think we do this, because we're not placing any sand in this mode. So in this mode, we just have our finger. Nothing's going to happen with that. Dig rate and dig size, maybe. Up and down, we're not doing. Camera, we're not doing. Terrain, yeah, we will need. Last position, maybe. With height, X base, I think all that stuff we'll need. Point on terrain, yeah, I'll just see what that is. Okay, what's next? What is next? Oh, I have some chats. Sorry, man. Yeah, I can see how this can be very, very dirty. Funisac said, "Hey, what kind of game is this? Finger, scoop, pat, grab?" Hey man, these are actions, dude. They don't just apply in the dirty realm. They can apply outside of this dirty realm. So I'm making a sand game where basically you're playing in the sand. But yeah, I totally see how this can go all the wrong way. Thanks, Funisac, man. That made my morning. All right, back to what we're doing. Um, right in sand. Okay, so we're not doing any of this because we're not collecting or losing any sand. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all that. Get rid of this. So far we're just modifying the sand in this way. Point on terrain is gonna be a. So I'm just making sure it's a public variable for now. I don't have to. It could be a local variable if I wanted it to. Okay. So to hit that point, all we got to do is here.x, terrain, game object. Oh, are we getting the terrain? Let's go ahead and make sure we get the terrain too. So void start, here we go, terrain equals get component, terrain, yep, terrain, what else do we need? Last position, I ain't gonna worry about it right now. So, okay, terrain.gameObject, okay, and then it's gonna be here.z. So I know I'm saying but I totally don't understand what I did right there. Okay, so this code, we're saying, hey, get the point that I clicked on minus the point that the terrain's kind of moved, and then get the point that I clicked on minus the terrain. Okay, cool. So that makes sense. So point on terrain, awesome. The width, the height, that's normal. X base, Y base, all could be local variables, but yeah, it really all of this could be local. But I think I just want to see the actual. I think that I'm debugging it. That's why that's all there. So I can delete this eventually once I'm sure everything looks good. And let me just go ahead and say that can be. Let's just do to do. To do can be local variables. Awesome. All right. Heights. Heights is yep where I'm digging. Right now, what am I doing? How do I know what I'm digging? X base dig size. Okay, so dig size. What if I just made this 2? So that's cool. I have some kind of cool like dig size thing. So I got dig size. That's all good. And then I don't have a modify sign, so I'm just delete this for now. And terrain that set heights. Then we just set it back up, and then we have to cover our edge cases. Basically, if we try to dig too close to the edge of the terrain, I don't have anything checking that. So the heights basically, what am I saying? Basically, you have a terrain and your brush is this big. So if you dig around here, once your brush comes like and collides with the terrain edge, like it'll try to access points on the array that don't actually exist. So I got to cover all those cases eventually. So I made sure I put that in there. So is that it? So gosh, a lot of events here, so we got to make sure we're doing this carefully and well. We have the player camera, first-person camera, so looking at you. The player first-person camera is going to try to receive inputs because that's what it does. Your inputs are all based on what camera you're looking through. So the input says, oh yeah, you clicked here, exactly on this point on the terrain. So here's the point. And it sends it to the player. Player says, okay, what am I doing actually when I click? Do I have my finger selected? Do I have the scooping selected? Do I have the pat selected? So that's important to know. And then basically, but depending on which action is selected, it says, okay, since I have this selected, I'm going to do this kind of action. And so this kind of action would be on this, in this case, finger, because that's the only one we have so far. Finger is going to send this to the terrain actions. Terrain actions is going to be like, okay, I subscribe to as many actions as you wanted me to, 4 hopefully that I have so far. Uh, I see this one's a finger action, so I'm going to go ahead and do the write in sand function. And the write in sand function basically just says, yep, here we go, blah, 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 due to modifying the sand, and that's it. So let's see if at least that all works. And to make sure that all works, we have to have everything done. Okay, so player cam is something we had in the past. I'm going to delete this. We're not using it anymore. Top-down camera, yes, we are using. So right now it has input first person control, so that's great. Okay, player should have the player action script, so let's go ahead and add that. We could just drag it. Let's just do that. Player actions. Okay, so this is a player actions. So it does its own thing. And then main camera, nope, terrain should have its own actions, which is terrain actions. And that's all the stuff that I don't think I need to modify, honestly. But right now it's public, and all these could be local variables in a bit. So here we go. Everything seems to be working fine. Tab over to, let's see, let's tab over to this guy. Here we go. Nice. So this is me just writing in the sand, and it looks pretty good. I could probably just do 1 pixel, it'll be alright. I just want to show you that, like, when I clicked the visor, it kind of like skipped the dig. Alright, I'm going to make it 1 pixel maybe? What would happen if I did that? Oh, actually, I could have done that right there in play mode. Alright, so if I go over here, made you 1, what would you do? Yeah, you're still definitely going. I mean, I can see that I'm modifying it, but I'm modifying it so little. There we go. What if I kind of shake it off, shake it off? Yeah, okay. How much am I modifying it? Dig rate. Okay, so that's the dig rate. So, sorry, I didn't even know what I was doing. I don't know what I was messing with, sorry. Yeah, so I can go to this mode, kind of rotate it, go run around somewhere where it's kind of flat. Okay, so I have this. I might make dig rate double, triple, maybe 5 times more. 5 times more at 1. It's me kind of writing in the sand. If I made it 2.008. Oh. That's lifting the sand. Yeah. That makes sense why it looks kind of different. If I made you 1, lifting the sand like this. That's weird, right? What is it doing? Like, why does it bring some of that down? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Very intense. I'll figure it out. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. Right now, I'm not digging. I am totally, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not digging. I am adding more sand to the mix, so I definitely going to make that a subtraction. Uh, so that makes sense that I have to subtract. Okay. So I have this base. Alright, so if I made 1, like say I'm just digging at a size of 1. So basically I'm saying x base minus 1 divided by 2, which should be maybe 0, I guess. Really should be 1, right? I should always do floor, right? If I do floor, it'll be no, yeah, if I do floor, this would be 0, this would be 0, and you of course would be 1 1. Anyway, the dig size is fine because that's just a square, and this is really the important part. So if I got 1 1, and then I said, hey, check the heights and see if the height is somewhere between heights minus dig rate. So heights is, yep, and just make sure you don't dig below 0. And yeah, maybe I could even clamp. That's fine. I don't need to clamp right now. Terrain set heights. So then you're gonna get the same. Oh, I see. I'm not doing the int thing that I'm doing up here. Is that okay? Like, do I have to do this int thing? Maybe I don't. Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, I wonder why this one is saying, hey, you totally got to be an int. Where this one's like, I don't really care. You do whatever you need to do. Oh, because I'm dividing by 2f. You, on the other hand, are not being divided by 2f. There we go. So I think that, yeah, that that's at least more concise. I don't even know though. Like what? I know this has nothing to do with anything that I'm working on, but if I just said, hey, show me the number 1 minus 1 divided by 2, and say this whole thing had to be an int. Say this whole thing was an int. What value do you suspect me to have? Would it be 1 or would it be 0? We will find out right now. 1. So, what if I said 1/3? Does it just round is what I'm trying to figure out. Or is it ceiling always? I wonder if it just rounds this. And one last thing, 2/3. It's always hitting the floor. So, now, yeesh, yeah, this is hard. This is, what do you do? So math.floor, you're probably like this. Now we have a real conundrum here. Yep, and math.ceiling. And I'm just looking down here where my mouse is. Ah, interesting, interesting. Now, what if I made one of you guys afloat? Now you definitely gonna start. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whew. All right, this is tough, but this is what needs to be done. if we're going to get some good values here, we definitely got to watch out what we're doing here. So I definitely want to divide these by floats. And I am definitely going to just get the floor of these floats. Float half dig size equals we can make it an int. I don't care. That way we don't have to worry about doing all this craziness. Math f dot floor. Yep. Dig size divided by 2f. Sweet. Yep. And cast that, please. Alright, awesome. And now we can just, instead of being unsure this whole time, we can just say half dig size, half dig size, half dig size, half dig size. So at 1, this will be 0, and so you'll get basically where you're clicking in exactly that 1. Alright, good. That makes sense, and just something that needed to be fixed. Okay, awesome. Let's keep going. So now we should be able to dig in the sand as opposed to add sand in little spots. So if we go over here, was that me just playing with the individual sand stuff? Who knows? So right now I am digging, which is nice. I'm digging at 2. So what if I made this 8 and you 1? How do you differ? Yeah, there you go. So the one thing I wish is it was smoother, because right now you can see it's like, and then if I hold it down you can see it just goes straight down. But not bad. You can definitely write stuff in here. Like, hi. Now, you could do that originally, but maybe not as fine-tuned. Alright, so hi. So that's our finger. No sand's being collected or anything. Oops. I could always just tab out just to see how it looked further away. I think I wrote that up here somewhere. Here we go. And then you can see hi. Awesome. So the finger works, just I gotta fine tune it a bit. Ooh, yeah, you can see I get stuck in there. Gotta get out of here. Can't get out. I like it though. I like how he walks and gets stuck. Just checking out the animation too. So when he pushes something, or if he gets stuck on something, you can totally tell. Just playing around. Okay. Breakfast consumed. What's up, Key Yard? How's it going? Yeah, it's coming, dude. Slowly but surely. It's definitely coming. Right now, I am trying to make different tools. So right now we kind of got a finger so you can write stuff in the sand. Now I'm going to get like a scoop. And I got to do all these different things. I just did finger today. And someone said something funny about saying, hey, what kind of game is this? You're doing finger, scoop, pat, grab. And I thought that was hilarious. Alright, anyway. Yep, shaved. My eyes are still having problems, so I have to wear my glasses right now. And I didn't comb my hair, so I'm wearing a hat. Okay, so what am I doing now? We got the finger kind of working, but we totally want it to be more like... Okay, so here's some of the problems I was having with the finger. When I'm zoomed in, let's do another. So right now, and I think that the options I'm going to have is like 1 and maybe like 0.5, maybe a little harder, but this is what it looks like, right? And so it gets choppy, and you can see that here, like it's all sorts of choppy. So I'm gonna have to make like interpolate a line. So basically, it's all smooth. And the other thing is, if I hold down in one spot, I don't want to just keep digging straight down. So if I make it going straight down, like I know you won't be able to see it, but if I go all the way over here, player, you can see like some of these straight down things just go straight down way too fast. So don't need to do all of that. So, oh, Keyart says I'm looking very hipster. Thank you, sir. I guess that's a compliment. I don't know. Um, and like 10 years ago, I think that would not be a compliment, but now hipsters are kind of cool and everything. So yeah. Keyard says I've been in a queue for this website for at least 3/4 of an hour. Most exclusive website.com. Um, One visitor at a time. Every 60 seconds, get your ticket. Uh, I don't even know. I have no idea what this is. What does this give you, Keyard? Oh, 3 to 4 hours. I heard 3, 4. I saw 3 divided by 4, and I'm very in that programmer mode where I'm like, yes, must compute everything I see. So, yeah. All right. So here we go. That's why I have that last position here, and that makes sense. So now we gotta basically keep track of our last position. So we have point on terrain. Point on terrain is what, a 3D point? Point on terrain is a 2D point. So maybe I should make this also a 2D point. So we're going to say, hey, if last position, let's even do something better. If vector2 dot distance between last position and wherever I am right now, which is this position? No, oh, do I need point on terrain? Oh, in here. No, I need point on terrain. Let's go ahead and grab point on terrain. And point on terrain is greater is equal to 0, less than equal to 0, or threshold, if we want to like basically have a threshold value instead of a threshold equals 0. Yeah, if you are less than or equal to that, just return. Get out of this function because you're not going to do any work. Keyart says you're allowed 60 seconds when your ticket is called, and if you leave, you lose your spot. No one knows what's inside. Come on, someone's got to spill the beans. Someone's got to know, right? All right, width, height, x base, y base, half dig size. Okay, nice. Nice, 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 nice. Dude, I swear, someone's got to know what's on that most exclusive website. But alright, so we have this threshold. So now if you don't move your cursor, it's not going to dig, right? That 2 lines of code does that, right? So if we go over here, we play around here. If I hold down my mouse, oh, it's still digging. Okay, then I am a complete liar, and that's usually the case. Oh, because I'm not actually updating last position. So now last position's got to be equal to point on terrain. 3 lines of code does that now. So here we go. I'm about to play. Playtime! Playtime, fools! Alright, so now if I hold down the button, oh, it still digs. And is it digging forever? I guess is my other question. So if I hold down this, it makes a spike, but then it stops. And I think this is the case because as I dig, the position actually does change a little bit. And I don't know if I can see that. Maybe it's on terrain. Is last position on here? It should be if it's not. Yeah, it's not. So let's go ahead and change that. Just another one of these debug things, which I'm probably going to forget to change back, and it's going to be a pain in the butt to remember which ones were supposed to be debug and which ones aren't. So okay, back here. Whoa. When I get stuck in something, it looks kind of weird. Alright, keep an eye out on last position. I bet that's going to change as I hold down the mouse button for a while. Yeah, so it's very much changes, even just 0.0 something. And that's because what Severed Skull brought up last time, which is like as you're digging, yeah, I don't have the picture, but basically as you're digging, the terrain, like, so my point is here, but when I dig, like, or even if I add, right, the point like doesn't, my point kind of adjusts up and down this mound as I keep adding. So the point moves ever so slightly, but it's still moving. So that's why I also have that threshold value, because maybe I just want to say, hey, if you haven't moved 0.1 or 0.05 or something, then return. So we can totally do that by just saying, sure, int. No, it's got to be float. Float threshold equals, like, we'll just say 0.1 or 0.1 sounds fine. 0.1, that's always a safe number when you're trying to get something small but not too small. And we'll just say threshold. And there you go. If the distance is less than or equal to threshold, return. And then hopefully, when I go over to my mounds of joy over there, hold down the button, you see it's not moving until I move my mouse around. And I can kind of keep digging like this in a circle and it'll dig down. But now I have to move my mouse for it to draw. And so here's the things. 0.1, maybe 0.8. How's that look? This is the true draw. I don't know if I like that. Let's go a little deeper. 0.1. Let's go find a different spot to draw. So I don't like the dots, right? But that's because of my threshold. My threshold's basically the spaces in between each dot. But do I like the depth? Maybe a little deeper. Just a little. I think I made it much deeper by doing that, but let's see. Yeah, I think 1 was fine. Alright, 0.01 with 1. I like it. Alright, so this is going to be kind of my finger digging script ratio. So let's go just find a spot. Yeah, around here is fine. Alright, cool. How much time? It's been 1 hour and 4 minutes. Okay, so I want to do one last thing, and I really want to have this tool kind of complete by the time I'm done. And I guess I'm not done yet. What I got to do next is I just want it to be smooth. So, I'm gonna have to interpolate. And what that means is basically instead of going update, 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 it just says update, update, give me everything in between, nice and smooth. Update, 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 right? So that's kind of how that works. But I have no strategy right now for it, so I might just call it a day for now. I might come back a little later today, or just start this back up Sunday with a plan. And I'll just draw on OneNote and kind of do what I did today, just like, hey, this is my strategy for today, and let's just go with it. So cool. Feel pretty productive. Just to reiterate what we did, we kind of refactored the whole terrain dig script. So now the camera accepts the inputs like the keyboard, like the mouse, and so that's the only thing camera has to do. It's like, hey, did you click something? Did you press something? Great. And so once you do that, it says, hey, you clicked here. And then player says, okay, since you clicked here, let me see what action I gotta do. I can do finger, I can do this, I can do this, and my current selected action is finger. So finger is gonna do something to terrain. So I'm gonna say, hey, I'm doing an action with my finger, and so terrain says, okay, I see that this character is doing an action with their finger. Let me go ahead and change myself in that way. So that's what terrain's doing right now with this terrain's action. It's like, okay, fine, I will adjust myself accordingly. Okay, so that is what I have so far. I'm going to keep it at this length because 1 hour is probably a good length to keep it. I really do like planning before coming to these streams, so I might do that again. Just like basically have a OneNote explaining what I'm thinking about doing and then just doing it. Because it kind of gets my mind already in the mode, and I hit the ground running. Okay. Keyard said some other stuff. Yep, the exclusive site, and my number is this, and it's on this, and I joined. Okay, cool. So Keyard's gonna get like this super prize, and I hope it's something awesome and something that allows you to just like live the rest of your life without worries. Anyway, yep. I'll see you later, Keyard, and everyone else. I'll see you later. I might stream later tonight, but if not, I will definitely be back on tomorrow about this time. I'm gonna have you can watch this video and all the other videos on YouTube. Links below, or you can go to youtube.com/ETdoFresh. It's like my only playlist, or one of my only playlists. It's called ETdoFresh Unity3d. Or you can follow me at Twitter at ETdoFresh. That's it for me. See you guys later. See you later. Good luck in all your game development projects too. Bye.